Good morning. Good morning. It is 8 a.m. We are at the Ohio Farm Science Review. Show just opened. I'm parked as close as I have ever parked to a gate. It's right there. Let's go in and check stuff out. We've got our interview at 1 o'clock today, and the rest of the day, morning at least here, we're going to go check out the show. It's gonna be a good day. I was in line getting my money out to buy a ticket, and some guy walks up to me and says, "Here, you need a ticket," and he handed me one. I don't know if he recognized me from YouTube or just wanted to give me a ticket, but hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Last year when we were here, we were checking out Gooseneck Trailers because I needed one, and we ended up buying one. I really liked this Morwitz branded ones. They look really good. They've got these nice aluminum ramps on them, but there's not any dealers really close to me, or at least the one dealer that is somewhat close to me had no interest in selling me a trailer. So I didn't buy one, but I probably would have had I gotten someone to, sell me one. I just thought they looked really well built. I liked the aluminum ramps being a little bit lighter, and yeah, I don't know, they just seem like nice trailers. Not that there's anything wrong with my PJ. That's a pretty good trailer too. Oh, this one's got hydraulic jacks. Dang it, that's something I wanted. Hydraulic jack. Oh well. That is a fair bit more than I paid for my trailer though. Same size, 25.5, 25.9 GVWR. It's the same spec trailer basically as what I've got, but that's a few thousand more. It's got hydraulic jacks though, so ooh, nice toolbox on the side there. Yeah, I don't know, they're nice. So yesterday we did the drone thing up there with Truss Services, and I made the comment about there being 10 companies here that want to sell me a drone today. Well, there's one, and look at their fancy pre-built trailers. Yeah, those are nice. Really nice setups. Oh yeah, we were kind of looking at these last year too, liquid applicators, because we weren't sure what was going to happen with our anhydrous. Now our new anhydrous supplier did really well this year, so we're going to stick with that for a little while anyways. But these are pretty nice 28 applicators if we ever do go to a liquid system. Problem is they're $150,000, but hey, it's just money, right? And $350 corn. And then there's the strip till that I would also love to do, but yeah, same type of thing, right? It all costs a bunch of money to try stuff. Now spreaders is something we're still looking at. This one's tall too. Yeah. A BBI Magna Spread Plus on big single floaters. Why do they have to sit so tall? Think we could reach that with our loader tractor to load it? I don't know. Pretty nice looking spreader though. I like how the motors are up high instead of being mounted under the spinners. In theory, it keeps them out of the fertilizer a little bit better. But there's a lot of stainless steel components on here too, so it just sits so tall. There's the Ag Pro John Deere booth. And then we got the Deutz booth right across the road. I might know somebody over there. We'll go check it out in a minute, but check out this new planter. Exact Merge, 24 row. Very nice. It's got markers. We don't need markers. What do we have here in the Deere booth? 8:30. I wonder if Andy Clean's here. He was here last year. Washing tractors. This looks like something he would be washing. There's another spreader. It's a baby spreader, but it sits really tall too. Why do all these sit so tall? People really doing in-crop work with it? Oh, that's a tiny chain there. I don't think you're spreading any lime with this one. Too little of a chain gate in there. Well, there's a couple of booths down here that are a little sparse. Like, I don't know if this is the New Holland booth and they just brought one combine, or if there was something else supposed to be in here, but they don't have much. Sign of the times in ag, I guess. Well, we got the red and the green stuff up here, the other side of the green booth. Let's go check them out. Anybody need a pink brush hog or a blue FFA one? Oh, that one's cool. Nope, there's a bunch of New Holland equipment, so that must be somebody else's booth that didn't show up over there. There's some more red iron for you red people on my channel. The new 715 quads. They've been out for about a year now. We've seen them before. 3-point hitch. It blows my mind that they put 3-point hitch and PTO on all these big tractors. I suppose. Big grain carts, but you don't need 700 horsepower to pull a grain cart. Or at least very few people do. I know Case IH just came out with some new combines. This is an AF9, not an AF11. Still a huge combine though. Although I do find it interesting that the Case guys in their new combine launches talk about features and things and technology that Deere's had out for 5 years at least. But hey, you know, they'll catch up eventually. Oh, this is cool. So this was kind of a quiet launch product from John Deere this summer, but they released these new Coulter chisel plows. I've never in my life seen a chisel plow like this from John Deere. We used to run these exclusively before we bought that 2730 disc ripper. But yeah, where you have Coulter blades in the front and then ripper or chisel points that go like, you know, 6 to 8 inches deep. You're on 15-inch spacings instead of 24 or 30-inch spacings. Our Sunflower would be basically this style, and we ran them a lot. I don't know that we'll ever go back, but I could see where it would be a possibility. This is a more sophisticated version than what we used to run. Got a nice leveler in the back, lights, an implement receiver. That's interesting. Wonder why we would need an implement receiver on a tillage tool. Autonomy. It's for autonomy. Anyway, but yeah, this has got true set on it, so it would be pretty adjustable and be a really nice tool. Really nice. That's an 11 shank. We could pull a bigger one than that with our big tractor, but probably not with our 8R. Nice. Interesting. It's the first time I've seen one in person. And there's a 9RX 640. No big one here. They don't have the new big dog from Deere, but we ran one of these last fall, so nothing new there. Same with combine, right? That's 780. We're pretty familiar with that. It's not even the new series. Huh. There was a incident about 3-4 years ago with Deere here and the new X9 combines that they had just released. They had 3 of them coming to the show, and all 3 of them got in a wreck on the way here. It was a bad deal. That appears to be a dealer booth. In fact, I know it's a dealer booth and not a corporate Deere booth, which I'm a little surprised by, because Deere had been coming to this show as a corporate booth for the last few years. I don't know about last year, but I know they had been. So, but they've been pulling out a lot of these regional shows. They don't even go to Louisville National Farm Machinery Show anymore. So they leave it up to the dealers, which is why you don't have the newest and latest and greatest. There's the Onver booth. That weird right-hand unload auger. I couldn't do that. Couldn't get used to it. Heck of a nice cart, but the auger's on the wrong side. They do have this cool option though, kind of like a firefighting kit on grain cart for, you know, you put water in there, and then if you have a combine fire or a field fire or anything when you're out combining, you've got water on hand. Not something you would hope you ever need, but if you do, you'll be awfully glad you have it. As dry as the state of Ohio is, especially down south, I've heard they've had a lot of field fires and different things just from the equipment running in it. I bet they sell a few of those here this week. That's at least the 4th drone sprayer booth that I've passed. They're the only other ones that I've seen with tender trailers set up, but there's been 4 of them that we've passed so far. We're getting there. We're going to count them. We'll see if we get to 10. So Onver also makes really nice 28 applicators. This is kind of what my ideal setup would be here, where you've got a coulter that puts the bulk of the nitrogen down in the ground in the center of the row, and then it also has a wide drop setup here where it bands some right on the base of the plant. I think that would be best of both worlds for placement. Pretty cool. They've also got a dual coulter setup here that they kind of show on this table, where they run 2 coulters in each row, so it offsets it and gets it a little bit closer to the row, which would probably work. But like I said, this over here, I think, is how I would do it. Except for I would run a knife instead of a nozzle there and get it below the surface, and then you're banding some right on the rows, putting the bulk of it in the center where the roots will get to it as they grow. And then there's the Raptor strip till bars. Yeah, it'd be nice to try one. Ooh, look, they have spreaders too, and they've got theirs laying on its side, so you can't see how tall it is. They do have a really nice dual bin thing though, where you can have a main product, a secondary product, which would be awesome for doing, you know, 2 different fertilizer products at the same time, but not so good for lime. I don't know how easy it is to switch back and forth. But remember that other one we looked at earlier, how the spinners were up top with the motors? Let's see how these ones are underneath. I feel like that would be worse from a corrosion standpoint. I don't know. There's the Kloss booth. We've got a Kloss 500,000. Is that what that is? I don't know. Fancy paint job though. Show's getting a little busier here, starting to pick up, but this is about the time we would normally get here if I drove from home. It's about 10 o'clock now, so you know, we're half done already. This is gonna be good. We'll be able to go home after my interview. There's another drone trailer. It's the same trailer we saw earlier, just a different company, I guess. And another one, it's just a little ways down the road, selling the drones. Oh, there's number 7, drone sprayer number 7. There's the Golden Harvest booth. Look, I got a free orange crush out of the deal and a bucket, so I don't have to drop all my stuff anymore. We'll be back here. We got about 2 hours before 1 o'clock, so we'll be back for that. Oh, there's another spreader. It doesn't sit quite as high, but it's pretty close. I got these big single axles. Why don't we have any with smaller walking tandem implement axles on it? That's what I want to know. Ah, the Massey Ferguson booth. It's not with all the other major equipment manufacturers. Massey and Fence are here together. It's a Agco booth. I hear they have new Massey tractors out. Something. I don't know. I'm not really that interested, so we're not going to go and look. I would not mind one of those, however. Alright, well, we have not made it through the whole show yet. I got through some of the booths and was talking to some people that I knew. I found my 360 salesman down here, talked to them for a little bit. My heads up rep, talked to him for a little bit. My Sound Ag rep, who is no longer my Sound Ag rep, but a rep for a different company now. Talking to him for a while, and then we were talking about this interview and that I needed to go twist Golden Harvest's arm into buying me some lunch. And he's like, I'll buy your lunch instead. Okay, so we did. Nice ribeye steak sandwich at the beef producers booth there, so that was good. And now it's 12:30, and I figure I better probably head towards my booth and get ready for this interview. So we'll see how it goes and try and figure out how to set up my camera and record it for you. Oh, there's another drone place. Are we at 7 or 8 now? It's at least 7. Gosh dang, look how fancy this is. My name and everything. He told me he found that picture on Google. Alright, that's an old one, but right there's my interview chair in front of our vomitoxin banner. It's Wade. We're getting her all set up. We're gonna try and film through that one and see. And they're doing this, and she's like, "I'll get you the video." But what? No, I'll be fine. He's got the script. We moved inside by the cows because makes sense. But whatever, it's not out in the sun, so I think we're all ready to go. They got a fancy setup. We've got a crowd. Everybody wants to know how I make YouTube videos. This is how I make them. This is how I do it.
3, 2, 1.
Get rid of this camera. All right, whenever you're ready.
12.
We'll wait. Ready?
Good afternoon and welcome to the Golden Harvest interview series here at Farm Science Review. I'm your host, Wayde Looker. I'm the agronomist that covers Ohio, and I get to work with Nathan Baker. Nathan is our guest today. Nathan is a farmer in Northwest Ohio and Southern Michigan. He is also a seed dealer for Golden Harvest, and he has gotten quite a bit of fame as the owner and presenter of Border View Farms on all social media channels and YouTube. So Nathan, why don't you give us just an introduction about yourself and tell us a little bit about your operation?
Sure, yeah. So my name is Nathan Baker. I farm with my family up in, technically we're based in Waldron, Michigan, but the state line runs between my house and my parents' house, or our farm. It's we're right on the border there, farming both states. So I started the YouTube channel a while ago, and we've been doing that, but we farm a little over 3,000 acres, corn, soybeans, and wheat up there. Yeah.
So Nathan, you mentioned that you are a YouTube farmer with Border View Farms as your channel. Tell us how you got started filming YouTube content and what made you want to make that leap.
Yeah, you want the long version or the short version?
I think everybody here is dying to know the full version.
The full version, okay. Well, back in high school, well, I was heavily involved in FFA in high school, and you know, a lot of the stuff we talked about back then was promoting our brand and promoting agriculture, telling our story, and not letting, you know, people who may not have our best interest at the forefront of their intentions tell our story for us. And after I graduated from college and started working with Golden Harvest, going back to the family farm, and I kind of started some social media stuff then. I was involved with Farm Bureau, and it was that same message of we got to share our story. And so I was trying to figure out how to do that. Sort of started with a Facebook page, probably back in 2010-ish, somewhere in there. And then started a YouTube channel. It was probably 2014, somewhere in there, when I started making some videos, but not the style that I am today. I got a drone, started filming some equipment videos and different things, put those on, got a little bit of a following built up, and then probably sometime in 2018 or 19, I was watching more farming YouTube videos, and I saw guys like Zach out there, Millennial Farmer. I saw Brian Brown from Southern Ohio here, and I thought, well, if these guys can do it, I can do it too. And so I started making the same style of videos. Never intended for it to be a daily thing when I started, but it started as a daily thing, and it's never really changed. So yeah, that's how I got started, and it's just grown into what it is today.
You know, you mentioned that you do daily videos, and that's something that's pretty unique to you. Most other YouTube farmers do not do that. What keeps you motivated to continue to post on such a regular basis?
Right, so it all goes back to why I started, right? It's to share your story through. And my thought process, well, at first it was, I don't know what to film and what not to film, so I just film it all. And then it got to the point where it was like, well, how do I increase the quality of my content but maybe reduce the amount that we're putting out there? And what I decided was, if I want to share what we do, and the whole intention of this YouTube thing is to promote agriculture, and you know, we're not trying to hide anything. It's not like we're doing stuff that we don't want the public to see. And so I always kind of had that in the back of my mind, like if I take a day off from filming without explaining it the day before, people are going to wonder what I'm doing, and they're going to say, he must be doing something he doesn't want us to see. And that's not the case. So I always try and film something no matter what I'm doing. Some days it doesn't make the most exciting content. I will be the first one to admit that. Other days it is really exciting, but it's always a day in the life of a modern grain farm operation. And so I want to show people what happens on these farms. I want to show what I do every day. And so that's what I do.
And do you ever find yourself looking or trying to come up with things to film, or do you truly just sit down and film whatever you wind up doing that day?
Yeah, there is a little bit of that. One thing when I first started this, I don't know how my dad thought, you know, of the whole thing at first, because I get that comment a lot of how do you get it all done? How do you carry a camera all day? How do you get any work done with stuff? What ends up happening is on those days when I don't really have anything to do. You have to find something to do because I got to have something to film, right? And so it's actually a pretty good motivator to go out and find something to do. And so what I found that happens is, a lot of the slow days in August or in June or whenever, when we're not actively in the fields, it's a really good excuse to go out in the fields and look at stuff. Let's go out and see what's happening. Let's teach something about what our crop is doing, the growth stage that we're in right now. Same thing in the winter time. There's days when I have to sit in front of a computer. Like that's the job that needs done. Well, that is terrible YouTube, right? But it also lets me get away from that for an hour or two. Let's get in the shop, find something to do, and find something that's a little bit more exciting. So, am I coming up with content just for YouTube? I mean, kind of. It's things that are good for me to be doing anyway. But yeah, it definitely helps motivate you to get something done.
So you've been doing this content for a couple years now. What have been some of the main, benefits that you've experienced, and maybe what are some of the drawbacks that you've seen from doing this as well?
Yeah, well, I've certainly built up a little bit of a following over the last few years, and it is fun to come to shows like this and meet some of the fans and the people that I'm with. So that's good. But it has given me the opportunity to work with some different companies a little bit. I haven't gotten nearly into the sponsorships that some of the other YouTube channels have and stuff, but it does give me opportunity to test some products and see some things that I may not have otherwise. So that's definitely a benefit. As far as drawbacks or negatives, there's always that question mark of how much do you share, how much do you put out there. I tend to be fairly open with stuff, but I haven't really had too much negative stuff from doing YouTube videos yet. So I don't really think there's too much of a drawback so far.
I think that does lead pretty well into the next question here, which is, agriculture itself is a very private industry, and you go out of your way to share a lot of pretty private information. How do you balance posting relevant content that people are interested to learn while also trying to protect some of your own, again, private information?
Yeah, definitely. And that is, there's a line there that you gotta follow and try and figure out where the right spot to be is. So I tend to be fairly open, like you said. I'll show most everything, and it goes back to that. I want to show what we do every day, and I don't want to hide anything. I'm not trying to make things seem like something they're not, right? But there's some things that you will never see on my channel. Number one, I will tell you what fields are yielding when I'm in the combine. We started on Monday. Last couple of videos ago, I showed what the yield monitor said, and I'm very upfront. I said I haven't calibrated. I don't know if this is accurate or not and stuff, but I will show those kind of results on a field-by-field basis. What you will never hear from me is what our farm average was. I also, I'll say, oh, we got this 80 acres to plant or to harvest or whatever, but I've never shared the exact number of acres of whatever crop that we're farming or something. So if you pay close enough attention, I suppose you could figure that stuff out and get pretty close for what our farm averages are and stuff, but I don't actually give that kind of detailed information. I also try really hard not to go into financial details as far as exactly what we're paying for our inputs, whether that's seed or chemicals, land rent, any of that kind of stuff. We leave that off of the channel. People have a good idea what some of that stuff costs, and so again, it's a balance of trying to be upfront, transparent, show everything, but yeah, having a little bit of that privacy as well.
Shifting gears a little bit, I think one of the things that really sets your channel apart and differentiates you from many of the other YouTube farmers out there is your attention to agronomy and really going over the nuts and bolts of why we do things the way that we do. Is that an intentional process where you identified a gap in the industry that you were trying to fill? Or again, is this more of an example of you posting things that you find interesting?
Yeah, a little bit of both, right? If you can't be entertaining, you better be informative. And I'm not necessarily the most entertaining ag channel on YouTube, but I do have fairly good knowledge from my time as a seed advisor with Golden Harvest here, from working with Wayde and with other agronomists in the past. I've picked up on some of this stuff, and I've got that experience. And so I wouldn't say it was necessarily me trying to fill a gap in the marketplace, if you will. As much as this is my passion, this is what I really enjoy. I love getting out in the cornfields and looking at stuff. Every year, the end of June, I will take a corn plant that is just pre-tassel, and we completely dissect it. We're going to take that thing apart, pull every leaf off of there. We're going to find the tassel. We're going to find the ears. We're going to look at the roots and do all that stuff and really dive into the agronomy of it. And I think the people that have watched that know that I just really enjoy that side of this. It's a passion of mine. So it's more so a little bit of, it's good content for YouTube. People really seem to enjoy that educational aspect of it, but it's also something that I really enjoy talking about.
It's clear that you built up a really nice following. What do you attribute that success to the most? And then to follow up on that, has there been a moment in time where you've looked at it and said, you know what, I've made it, like I've made something of this that you've been particularly excited about?
What was the first part of your question? I forgot.
First part of the question was, what do you feel has contributed most to your success?
Okay. Yeah, so the build up to the success and stuff, probably the biggest contributing factor is consistency. And it's almost over the top consistency with posting every day, but people have come to expect videos. And a week or so ago here, I was gone for 5 days in a row. I didn't make a video, and people are like, what happened to you? And so you kind of start out. Most of these people I've never met. The people that watch my videos, the people that comment on them, most of them I've never met. I have no idea who they are. Even the people that come up to me at the show, if they are somebody that comments on it, I don't know because I don't connect the names, right? But I do see the same names show up in the comments, and you kind of almost build a following and a relationship with some of these people through that. And it's a strange dynamic, but they come to expect my posts on a consistent basis. I have never cared a lot about the analytics, the statistics of it. Obviously I want to do well. I want things to continue to grow. But I didn't expect to get 1 million followers overnight. It was never goal, never going to happen that way. Has there ever been a moment when I feel like I made it? I wouldn't say any specific moment. My growth has been fairly steady from the time. So going back a few questions, I started the YouTube channel making some just videos of the equipment and stuff. Well, one of those videos that I happened to make was a neighbor of ours has a big bud tractor and a 21 bottom plow. It's pretty impressive equipment for anybody, but especially people that don't come from an ag world to see that kind of size. And so I filmed that with my drone at the time, put almost no effort into editing or anything. I just took the video off the drone and I put it on YouTube. There's no music, there's no voiceover, there's no cuts, there's no nothing. That video has 5.5 million views, and so it kind of got me established. I had a base of subscribers from that, so when I started making the vlogs, it's just been a nice steady growth from that 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers that I started with up to the 30,000 that we're in now. So there's never been that I made it moment. There was that initial like, holy cow, I hit something, how do we replicate that and do it again, because that was really cool. I've never done it since, but obviously when I get to meet some of the other ag YouTubers, that's a really cool thing for me. I met Brian Brown here a few years ago. He's a really good guy, and there's a few other ones that I've met, so those are nice. It's always cool when I come here to the show and meeting some of the fans and stuff, and you think, wow, I've got some reach. It's really cool. But, yeah.
Now you mentioned your fans. We've got a handful standing here today. What has been your favorite fan interaction that you've had over the years?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I can't necessarily point out any one. I've had more fans come up to me today here walking around the show than I ever have at a farm show, so that's kind of cool. But this is where I get to see people, right? It happens occasionally in my day-to-day life where someone says, hey, I saw your YouTube videos. Happened to my wife one time. She took my kids to the roller skating rink, and one of the other dads there is like, hey, I watch your husband all the time. And I think it caught her off guard a little bit, but it was kind of a cool story. But yeah, coming to these farm shows, whether it's here at Farm Science Review, the farm show we have up in Michigan there at the Agro Expo, or even going down to Louisville to the National Farm Machinery Show, this is where I get to interact with people and stuff. And it can be a little awkward, right? They don't know what to say, I don't know what to say, but I do enjoy it when people come up and say hi and at least shake my hand. So.
Well, in addition to you being a YouTube star, you also are a very in-depth analytical farmer. So what are some of the agronomic practices that have worked really well for you in the past? And is there anything that you're looking to change on your own operation moving forward?
Yeah, so that you're right on that analytical side of stuff, and I am really big into trialing and testing things. I've made a very conscious effort over the past 2 to 3 years here to make sure that I'm tracking this stuff better, doing really well done field trials. We've done some together with some high management versus standard practice plots. That's all gone really well. As far as practices and stuff that we're learning from those plots, right? So things like V5 fungicide on corn. I started trialing that, did 80 acres or something the first year. That worked pretty well, so we'll try a little bit more the next year. Well, that is a no-brainer for me anymore because I've seen such a positive result from it. And it's one of those things that doesn't cost me a lot of money. I can do it with my own sprayer. I don't have to hire it done. And the returns on it have been really, really good. So there's that. I've done a little bit of experimenting with some early planting or some ultra early planting. We've got a field of beans that we planted in March in Michigan, which is unheard of, but they look fantastic. And I'm really excited to get into harvest and see what we're going to do. This is the second time now that I've planted some beans in March and made it to harvest with them with no replant issues. So that's something that the first year I did, I think 17 acres. This year I did 75 acres. Next year, if we get a window, which is always iffy, if we're going to get ground conditions that we can plant in March, but I won't be afraid to go and plant a bunch of beans in March if that opportunity presents itself. So yeah, we do a lot of different trials and stuff like that, different products from different companies that I'll test for a couple of years before we go all in on them and stuff. But yeah, we do a lot of that.
Perfect. Well, we're wrapping up here. You're going to go home and you're probably going to jump in the combine.
Probably.
So what kind of expectations do you have for harvest this year? How do crops look back home? And yeah, tell us what your expectations are.
Yeah, so we got started planting a little bit late outside of those March planted beans this year. We were maybe 10 days to 2 weeks later start than I would have liked to have get. But that said, we got done planting about the same time as normal. So we had a pretty short window this year to get stuff planted. Had decent rainfall early in the growing season, got a little dry there at the end of June when we were starting to combine wheat, and then we caught some rain. We had a hurricane blow through the first or second week of July that we got 2.5 inches of rain, and it was perfect, so we needed it. And then it got dry again. And then we caught some rain the 1st of August, and that was fantastic for us. Crops looked really good. We went rains in August, and you should have really good beans, right? So we had high expectations because of that. I think our corn looked pretty good. Now it hasn't rained a lot since then. We're very dry now, not like some of the rest of Ohio, especially southern Ohio. So I'm cautiously optimistic, trying to temper my expectations a little bit, but I do think that our crops are going to be really good. I think we have potential to be a little bit better than we were last year, at least on the corn. Beans, we'll see. We got started into some beans this week, and they're my early beans that I think are finished before we got dry. That August rain that we got really helped them out. We'll see if it changes when we get into the later ones, but they're running in the mid-70s, and I would not have guessed that coming into it. So we'll see. We'll play around with a little bit of irrigation. I think my irrigated corn is going to be very good, but it's so hard to tell until the combine gets in the field.
The last question of the day. This is the day that all the students are here at Farm Science Review. There's going to be people that see this, that look at Nathan Baker and say, hey, I want to be the next YouTube star. What advice do you have for any of these kids around here today that want to start their own YouTube channel?
The hardest thing to do is start. So I started this channel just making some video clips of equipment and stuff. The hardest thing that I do, it took me years of like watching other people. It was months after I found some of the other ag YouTubers doing these style of videos before I'm like, I can do this. And I knew I could do it, but it's like, how do you start? And I'm that type of person that, if a TV show series comes on and I don't see the first episode, I can't watch any of the series because I'm going to feel lost the whole time. So how do you start? How do you just jump into this and start something was kind of my thing. And eventually one day I'm just like, all right, we're just going to do it. And it was the middle of harvest. It was the wrong time to start this. It wasn't, first day of spring planting or the first day of harvest or the first of the year or any of those logical times. It was middle of harvest, we're just going to do it. And so one thing that I have really learned going through not just the YouTube channel and the social media journey, but just life in general since I've gotten out of college is you never know where that next opportunity is going to come from. Things just appear out of thin air sometimes. And if you put some effort into it, you can make it happen. So you just got to start. And you can't expect to explode overnight to the point where it's going to be, a huge following or something like that, or even profitable where you're making money on it. It takes time to build that following, but you won't ever get there if you don't just start.
That is perfect advice. There's going to be a lot of folks that see this that aren't familiar with you as well. So why don't you give us a plug on where they can find you across social media? Again, your YouTube channel is Border View Farms. So where else can they find you?
Yep, so YouTube, you can find me on YouTube at Border View Farms. I'm sure if you search Border View Farms, you'll find that there. You can go to borderviewfarms.com and get to my website. It has links to all the other social medias. I'm on Instagram. Again, it's at Border View Farms, Facebook at Border View Farms, and I think that's the most of it. I do have X. It's an X now, but I haven't logged in like 3 years, so you're not going to follow anything there. I've started playing on TikTok a little bit. I don't post much there, but yeah, YouTube is definitely the bread and butter. That's where I post every day. What I have found is that I do so much on YouTube, it really limits what I feel like I can do on the other social media stuff, because one, it's too much. You just can't get it done, can't handle all of that. And two, the content's already out there. So one thing I haven't gotten into yet is cutting up some of the long format videos into shorts and doing some of that where you can post them on different platforms. Probably something I should look into, but we haven't got to it. So one more comment on the previous, on getting started with, how do you start YouTube and stuff. One of the things that held me back when I was started was there was already guys doing this, right? Like Zach out there, Millennium Farmer, was already doing it. He was well established, and he does a great job. I love watching his videos. I know some people like it or not, whatever. He does a great job for agriculture. How Farms Works, there's lots of YouTube channels. There's so many ag YouTube channels out there right now, and you may think, why would I start that? Why would we have another one? But in my opinion, the more voices that we have sharing the agricultural story, the better. Like, I don't care if I ever get to that kind of level, because I fit a niche, right? It's that educational side and teaching people about what we do a little bit more in depth than some of these other channels. But they fill a niche too, and they're reaching a different audience than I am. And the more people that we can talk to and share what agriculture is doing, the better. So I encourage anybody that's doing that too.
That is perfectly well said. Nathan, thank you for being such an advocate for agriculture across the industry. Thank you to the viewers for viewing this year's first inaugural Golden Harvest interview session here at Farm Science Review. And we will catch you guys next time. Again, I am your host, Wade Looker. And Nathan, what seed brand do you sell again?
Golden Harvest.
There we go. Thanks again.
Say that. Finally. Thank you. GHX. That worked out good. Well done, sir. Very articulate. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, well, we got done with our interview there, and the show's starting to thin down. That, or I'm just on the side where everybody's already done, but we got one more row, 1.5 more rows to walk through here. Let's take a look at this. Look at this. Now, this is pretty small capacity, but here's what I'm talking about. See how we got the tandem implement tires, nice low load height. That, I think, is a litter spreader, but still, that's what we're looking for. A lot of livestock stuff on this end of the show. It's, for those of you that raise livestock, has lots of value. For me, I just kind of walk through it and say, oh, okay, that's cool. I don't know much about them. There's another one. That's at least 8. I might need to go talk to these guys. We don't miss those machines at all, do we? Not even a little bit. Nope. They are doing 360 rain demos down here. They've got a booth in the tent here, but then they also had the actual machine set up out at the field demos. We're not going to make it out there this year because, one, I've already seen it run, and they were doing it at 12:30, which I was pretty busy with my interview shortly thereafter, so didn't make it to that. All right, we got a half of an aisle and another half of an aisle to get down, and then we're getting out of here. And there's another drone sprayer place. I promise you I haven't shown you the same one twice yet. We're up to 9. I don't know if there's 10 here or not, but there's dang close. Yeah, last year we were pressure washer shopping. Oh, not doing that anymore. We bought one from this show. I haven't seen that guy here. Maybe his booth's up here. Ooh, there's another spreader tucked in back here. Chandler. That's a little one too. I want something a little bigger than that. Ooh, there's one. Maybe something like that. That's the right size. It sits tall too, though. Those are big implement tires. Motors up top. Looks like a nice spreader. Well, we're that close to the end of the last aisle, and there it is. There's the last drone sprayer place. Now that logo has been on another booth. However, I think they're a dealer under the other one, so we'll count it. We'll count it. I think we made our 10. That's ridiculous. Oh, they got a nice trailer too, though. So I missed it on the way in here, by here the first time, but this barn right here is a new barn. Got rebuilt because the one that was there got taken down in a tornado earlier this year. They had a tornado come right through these grounds. Obviously there's some permanent structures here, and that barn was one of them that got tore down. I hear this one's a little bit smaller or whatever, but it's new. Kind of speaks well about some of the other buildings, manufacturers, that barns survived. So I guess that's good, although tornadoes are pretty specific on where they hit. All right, well, we made it. Saw everything we needed to see, which was not a lot. We didn't need to see a lot. We saw a lot. It's all right. It was a good show. Always enjoy coming down here. More of you guys, the fans, my viewers, people that watch me, came up and said hi to me at this show than I've ever had before. So thank you for that. I know it's not easy and it's kind of weird, but it's okay. I do appreciate it. I enjoy it, and looking forward to the next one. So I have made it to my truck. All of the vehicles around me, not all, a lot of them are gone, which means I've been here longer than most. That's okay. We're gonna hit the road, head home, see what's going on with harvest stuff. I got a church budget committee meeting tonight if I make it back for that, and go see my family. So I am fairly confident we'll be back at harvest tomorrow. I don't really know what they're up to today. We'll figure that out here in a little bit. I'll make a phone call. But yeah, what a deal. Thanks to the Golden Harvest people for doing that interview. I thought it went pretty well. This video is probably extremely long because there's a 23-minute interview right in the middle of it, but hey, that's okay. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Harvest is getting rolling here. It's going to be a fun one.